So Jessica, let's start with a few words about you, what you do, where you are.
Yeah,
Your color matched with the country where you're based.
true. Actually,
Tell
green
us
is
a
my
little bit
favorite
about
color.
you. Mine
Yeah,
too.
so my name is Jessica. I live in Ireland. I live in Cork. I'm married and I have 4 kids, and I actually work. I have 18 years of sales experience. So my background is corporate sales for the last 18 years with large American multinationals. Yeah, and I guess this is my story. I joined TIR back in August 26th last year. So since then, my life has really taken an amazing and just an amazing journey so far. So yeah, I'm looking forward to share a bit more about my journey and kind of where I am and where I'm going. But without TIR, this wouldn't, where I am today wouldn't be possible.
Oh,
So
I just
yeah.
love this. These kind of stories just make my day. Uh, this is why we do all the uncomfortable work, right? To
Yeah.
see the sunlight and to see the outcomes. So Jessica, what was going on for you when we actually met, and what inspired you to invest in yourself?
Yeah, so I've like in general, my life was always, I was happy, I'm happily married, have a lovely husband, 4 very healthy kids. And work was always, well, it was good. I had nothing to complain. But to be honest with you, I always felt I kind of hit a ceiling, and I always felt I had more there was always more to life. I knew there was more to life. I just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
So I read Think and Grow Rich. I read that twice back to back, and then that kind of brought me to Bob Proctor's You Were Born Rich. And I read that twice again. And the reason I read them twice was because I was just so fascinated with the content, and because I wanted to try and implement the strategies in my life. But I found it hard. And even though I love personal development, I always found it hard to just be able to practically do things
Yes. Yeah.
more
Yeah.
consistently as
Mhm.
well. That was probably a challenge. And then one day your masterclass popped up on my Facebook, and I said, look, it was during my lunch breaks. I said, it's 5 days. What the hell? I'm just going to, there was nothing to lose. And I knew straight away. And the first day, I'll never forget it. And I said this to you last time, there was the song from Sia, Unstoppable, that came on, and I just felt this feeling of, I said, I just knew I was at the right place at the right time. And sometimes your intuition, tells you something, it nudges you. And I knew. And then by the end of the fifth day, I signed up. I knew I was afraid. I was definitely afraid. I have 4 kids, and I was always kind of worried, will I have money? Will I not? Will I this? But I went and I borrowed the money, and I just said, I need to do this for me. I knew it was the right thing to do. I was just afraid. Um, but since then, I love the content. I love I love engaging with you and hearing other people, asking questions that you'd go, oh my God, that's a great question. I never thought of it. And the things that I've done since I've started are enormous. Number one, and I had the worst self-image ever.
Mhm.
I called myself fat, ugly. I couldn't cope with looking at myself in the mirror. I had a lot of, I guess, baggage from when I was a kid, and I had, I guess, emotional trauma that I hadn't worked through. The self-image, just on the self-image piece, I'm so far ahead of where I was. I'm a better person. I'm better Jessica. The way I see myself is completely different.
Mhm.
Um, I wear much brighter colors. I've done my hair blonde and I've cut it, and I've really, I think I've blossomed. I would have never been able to do it. And I think that's it. Those are just, small pieces that I needed for myself. Being able to look at myself in the mirror with healthy love and respect. I never had that. I couldn't understand how can you look at yourself and actually be, you know, think you're all that. And,
Beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I couldn't understand it, but now I do. And if it wasn't for TIR, I would still be struggling with it.
Mm.
And that's just from a personal point of view. It's impacted my relationship with my husband. It's impacted my work, and I've been so much more successful in my job, and so much calmer and a lot more sure of myself, and not afraid of someone, saying something that I would take personally. I've grown. I think I've grown so much to where I was to today, and I just couldn't be happier. And I think it's just been the best experience of my life.
I love that. This is so good. And, self-image or confidence is just a pillar of success. Without it, nothing changes. And with it, sometimes the transformation is so huge that literally we don't have to do anything else but change that. And then we go like a rocket. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your sales results. What's changed in your
Yeah.
corporate results?
So the first month that I did it, that I started TIR, I was experiencing my previous results. The following subsequent months, I achieved 137% of my quota, 150% of my quota, 140% of my quota, and I can assure you, it was by not doing too much. Like I was working, but I wasn't overexerting myself under stress. I was doing what I needed to do. I actually also was a bit more focused on what I needed to do, because I had, those 6 goals, those the 6 goals that you do every day that allowed you to be a bit more focused. So I thought that was really helpful. So outside of that, obviously had an impact on my finances. So a couple of one time, actually, my boss called me out of the blue. He said, we want to give you a spot bonus, which they don't really do. So that was, I think,
I love
quite
that.
big. And my commission started growing. So this month's commission was over 10,000, and I hadn't earned this much commission
I
in
love
a year, because I actually checked all of my commission statements, just to see when was the last time I earned over 10K in just commission. And that was a year ago, and that was probably a really stressful time. Even though I earned it, it was through blood, sweat, and tears. So from a financial point of view, that has had a huge impact as well. And then other things have just been coming to me. I received a €100 voucher from a friend, and just little things just started happening.
it.
Now, you might say, oh, well, that might be just a coincidence. I don't think so anymore. I don't believe in that anymore. And I think everything that has been happening, because of the way I've shifted my perspective and how I've been in terms of my paradigms, I'm attracting more positivity to me than I would previously. And I think that has a knock-on effect on everything that you do in your life, whether it's going out to a restaurant and you have someone who's so nice to serve you, or whether you go to my gym instructor. He's just so nice, and he's just so helpful, and but he's so positive.
Mm.
Whereas you can actually find people who might not have been, had I not been in that mindset where you're attracting them to you. So I think it's had such a positive effect that I can't see this. I cannot not see this in my life for the foreseeable future. And I think
That's so
it's been
beautiful.
wonderful.
Yes, I love that. And can I just ask you, so you said that your current commission is about 10K in a
Mhm.
month. And what was it when you started thinking into results? Do you remember more or less?
Yeah, so there were months where it was maybe 2K. There was a month where it was like 1.9, maybe 2.5. So it was kind of in around under the 3,000.
Okay.
I hadn't earned more
Big
than that
difference.
in a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
huge.
but again, it was just the big shift. The biggest thing was I started here. It was just my the way how I excelled and overachieved on my quotas. If you looked at my commission statements, you wouldn't see 137 and 150 in months, in a long time. So even though I worked hard and I'm good at my job, but it
Yeah,
was just it's just different.
different energy,
Yeah,
different Jessica.
yeah,
Different
exactly.
Jessica doing the same activities, different results, right? I
Yeah.
loved it. So Jessica, so many beautiful wins. I know you said that your confidence has shifted, your self-image has shifted. Is there anything that in particular that you feel is different about the new Jessica? Like, how are you different?
Yeah.
What is like the biggest change between you today and you who started TIR?
Yeah, so the biggest difference for me in terms of where I'm at is when I started, I created a goal of a promotion. I wanted a promotion, and that I felt was a C-type goal. I felt that that's how far I think I could go. That's it.
Yes,
I thought that I was, if I get the promotion, be great.
that's it.
Once I did the self-image, it was like layers started opening up, and when I was reading and repeating my goal, it just wasn't resonating. And I kind of reflected a bit and I said to myself, this is not the right goal.
Mhm.
Because if it was, it would be, I would know. And I was following my intuition. And I always had, so when I was a child, I went through some trauma, like I said, and I always wanted to connect with women in particular to help women and recognize, that even though you go through certain things in life, that doesn't define you. I'm really strong and I'm really resilient, and I know that. And from that experience and from the self-image module, I was able to recognize that I can actually follow this and follow my dream and find my purpose. And this is my purpose. So as I shared with you, I'm going to be starting the Procter Gallagher consultancy program.
You're gonna be my
That for
fellow
me,
consultant.
yeah, that for me would have been so far stretched, Eva. I can't even explain. Like, it just would have been impossible. I've thought about previously, but it just would have been too high a mountain to climb. But it wasn't because it was a mountain, it was because I didn't believe in myself.
Yeah.
And, funnily enough, talking about believing in yourself, I was talking to, I'm looking at getting a grant to help with, launching my business. And I found myself typing the email to someone who was asking me questions. And in my email, I said, I believe I can actually succeed here. And I believe in my potential 100%. But it just came out naturally. I would have never been able to do it. And I would have never been able to, type it just so confidently and calmly. I would have been like, oh my God, who am I to say this? I believe
So
100%.
good.
It's just, it's there. So
Oh,
that's
I
the biggest shift, Eva. I mean, my confidence in who I am and how I am and how I just carry myself is completely different to what I would have before.
I love it. And you're going to do so much goodness for the world, I tell you. You applying this for yourself and seeing transformation, now you're going to pass it forward. And the most rewarding career in the world, right? Do what you love and get paid
Yeah.
very well for it. Amazing. So, Jessica, I think you mentioned a little bit about you knew when you met me that this is the right thing for you. Was there anything in your mind that was trying to pull you away or in your circumstances? And how did you talk yourself into actually doing it in the end?
So 100% every fiber of my being was trying to stop me. But I knew that you were right for me. I just knew. I guess I followed my intuition in that it felt right. You said the things that I felt I needed to hear at the time. But what was stopping me was my circumstances, in that I have a mortgage to pay, I have, kids to feed, and just a general life. But for me, it wasn't, the need for change was bigger than the fear,
Love that.
right? The need for change for me was bigger. I knew I needed to take that leap. I just needed to find out, how do I do it,
Yeah.
and make sure that if I'm going to do it, then I'm committed 200%. And I mean, I am. And it's not even a question. I think if anyone is looking to do it but is afraid of doing it, I think what you need to do is, number one, reflect in terms of, where am I? Is it okay for me to stay here? And if it's not, then this is the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Because we can, it's so easy to stay status quo and just be miserable and just go on with your life and, you know, just live your life here. But once I think you invest in yourself, and that's the thing, I have a nice car, I have a nice house, I have nice clothes, but I never invested in myself. And
Mhm.
and that was really a big aha moment where I said, hold on a second, I should be my biggest, you know, backing. Why shouldn't I? And that was really it. And I said, you know what? My fear needs to step aside. And I just pushed through the terror barrier, as you call it. And I just went through it. And it's true, my life has changed, and my husband has seen such a different, like I actually, I'm constantly kind of sharing things with him, but he has seen such a different me that it's actually infiltrated my entire house, my entire home. So, you know, the investment compared to what you're getting, in my opinion, is peanuts.
Yeah.
The investment to the program is just minimal when you realize what you're getting. And you know, I think it's important as well. Like I'm a normal human being. Like I work full time and I, you know, wake up in the morning and I go to the gym and I have a shower and I brush my teeth and I have breakfast. You know, I have flaws and I have fears like everybody else.
Mhm.
And that's why I needed this, because
Mhm.
I needed to change how I did things, how I saw things, particularly with myself. And I think it has paid off. I will never not invest in myself. And as you know, I've invested in the inner circle, which is something that I'm so excited about.
5 minutes ago. Love that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But in fairness, that was conversations coming, so it's the right time. But you know, I think it's just a case of you have to back you. You have to back you. You
Mhm.
need to be your biggest fan, no matter what other people say. Because if you don't believe in you, you know, I think it's going to be very hard for other people to realize what you're capable of doing and how capable you are of doing things. So, yeah, I think.
So
There's
beautiful, Jessica. You've said so many wise words. I tell you, I mean, you know, I think we have something in common in the sense that we literally could not even contemplate staying where we were any longer. And we both were in kind of good position. I mean, you have nice house, you have nice car, you have husband, blah, blah, blah. And yet, you know, there is more. And I felt exactly the same. We had a little bit different circumstances, but on the outside, it all looked perfect according to human standards. But we just felt that we can do more, be more, have more, right? And we were right. Obviously, everybody is right. What would you say? So there is multiple people watching us today, and today is the final day of our special offer. What would be your best tip or the best piece of advice how to make the best decision today?
So I think if number one, if there's anyone who is afraid, I think that's just like it's their paradigm. It's that's the fear talking. I
Yeah.
think they need to look at where they are and say to themselves, do I want more? Do I deserve more? And if the answer is yes, then they need to challenge that fear. They need to push through that fear and actually take a leap of faith on themselves and back themselves. Because I think you give, like, the content is there, you know, the support from you is there, the support from the team is there. Like there's nothing like it. And I think if someone is afraid and if they have questions that they need to ask, I think they need to ask them. But in my opinion, I I would just go for it. I would just 100% back yourself. Like there's only one life. You don't have a second chance in life. If you're going to live, you might as well live in a way that is going to actually be fulfilling and happy and, you know, abundant, just like actually your company, abundant results,
Yeah.
coincidentally. You know, it needs, like, there's more to life than just a rat race and then just being, you know, mediocre. You can, like, just go for it. I
Mhm.
think the people who have been consistently coming to you on the 5 days know by now they wouldn't have stayed.
That's
And I
right.
think it's just a case of them taking that leap of faith and actually going for it, and they'll never look back. And like I said, I'm a normal person. I'm completely, I can believe it now. At the time, I probably didn't, but I would 100% say, if I can do it, anyone can have what I'm experiencing in my life. So I think they should go for it.
I love what you said. We are ordinary people with extraordinary results, and it doesn't mean we're perfect. You said so many beautiful things, like we are women with flaws, and yet we have extraordinary results because it's not about being perfect. It's not about changing everything about you. You just need to change some thinking and behavioral habits, and boom, you have extraordinary results.
Yeah.
And what I also love about, the self-image, you love yourself to success. You don't hate yourself to success. So many people try to achieve by, oh, I don't like this about my body. Okay, so I'm gonna fix this. Or I don't like this about my results and la la la. No, we actually really teach you the basic relationship with yourself, where you love, appreciate, and you're proud of yourself. And then from there, you go for what you want. We literally overcome that not good enoughness. I spoke to someone earlier today and I kind of resonate. I used to achieve to kill the feeling of I'm not good enough. I thought that if I achieve, I'm not going to feel that I'm not good enough. But the actual tool to resolve that was to feel good enough and then go achieve what your heart
Yeah.
wants. And it's just so beautiful to watch what is possible. Yeah, so guys, I mean, listen to your intuition. If you feel deep down, I know I can do more. I know I can be more. And yet, no matter what you do, you're just hitting that wall and it's not happening. Then when is going to be the right time? If not now, when? Like, how long have you wanted to transform? And there's always a reason. Why not now? There's this circumstance. There is this reason. There is maybe your partner. When is it going to be the right time to actually fulfill your dreams? I really do believe that there is not the right time. You decide, like you basically decide, I'm getting my goal in next 6 to 12 months. Okay, so now, honest question, can I do it myself? Let me look at past 6 to 12 months and see if I'm actually moving. And if not, maybe it's worth to hire a mentor. And all you do, you click, you invest, you get to hang out with people like Jessica on the other side. Amazing, right? So we hope we inspired you guys. Thank you so much, Jessica. So lovely to interview you and watch you bloom. This is so good. Thank you.
Good luck, guys, and you're in safe hands.
Yes, let's